What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex here, and you're watching the Ragin Nation show. This is just a web series where we're talking about all things that matter to me in the world of movies. Let's talk about Star Wars Episode 7. Star Wars Episode 7 is a film that I haven't talked in a very long time, but I got some big news for you guys because yesterday, the production has officially wrapped principal photography. That's right, they're done shooting. They were shooting in sound stages and on location and in a lot of green screen studios, and they've been pretty tight-lipped about the production. It's been very secretive and kept under wraps. And J.J. Abrams is actually pretty good about keeping his production under wraps. I mean, if you look at any of his previous films, you don't really get to see a whole lot about what's going on, and it's no different for the production of Star Wars Episode 7. Sure, we've received our fair share of spy photos and set reports and paparazzi photos, but you know what? I'm actually really not sure if they're actual spy photos or part of their viral marketing campaign, because some of those photos just look really, really good, especially that aerial shot of the Millennium Falcon, you know what I'm saying? So that was a pretty good shot, and also we also got this set report from Kevin Smith, and he told us about all the practical stuff that they're doing instead of, you know, green screen and visual effects work. I mean, sure, there'll be a lot of visual effects in this movie, but the emphasis of this film is the fact that they're going back to basics and bringing in actual models and props and costumes and practical effects. So that is very, very cool. Anyways, they're done principal photography, and the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that they finished shooting in November and the movie is actually coming out in winter of next year, which means they have an entire year for post-production, which I actually think is a very long time. I mean, when I think of a big production, I think of, for example, you know, a big production that's very driven by visual effects. I think of Transformers Age of Extinction, but they wrapped principal photography in October for a June 27th release, which means that they had 7 months, a full 7 months for post-production work, right? But for Star Wars Episode 7, they have, what, 12, 13 months for post-production? And I'm thinking that's quite a very long time. And they were originally supposed to release their film in May, you know, Memorial Day of next year, but that just wasn't enough time for J.J. Abrams for the post-production. So instead, it's being released in is it November or December? I can't remember, but it's winter of 2015. So an entire year for post-production work. Now I'm just thinking that the post-production will essentially be finished for the most part in summer of 2015, and then we're going to get an announcement that they're going to be doing a 3D post-conversion for Star Wars Episode 7. Now, I can't remember if there was an official confirmation or press release that they were going to give us a 3D post-conversion for Star Wars Episode 7, but if they haven't, I'm going to call it right now that we're going to see Star Wars Episode 7 in 3D. I mean, think about it. We got Star Wars Episode 1 re-released in 3D. Star Wars is a part of Disney. Disney has been releasing all those Marvel films. All the Marvel films in the past few, I don't know, years has been released in 3D. So most likely Star Wars is going to be released as a 3D post conversion, and they're gonna take their time to make it good. They're gonna take their time to make it right. You know, it'll be a waste if they did a poor job with that. But in the end of the day, it's gonna happen. All right. Now, speaking of a 3D, they're not using the new state-of-the-art IMAX 3D cameras that Michael Bay used in Transformers Age of Extinction. They're actually using regular IMAX cameras. Now, this leads me to talk about the IMAX portion of the film, and that is, apparently, there's only one sequence in Star Wars Episode 7 that was filmed using IMAX cameras. Therefore, that one sequence will be presented in the full frame format. The rest of the film will be presented in the regular widescreen format, which I think is a little bit disappointing. I mean, they did announce that the movie was going to be shot with IMAX cameras, and remember in J.J. Abrams' previously directed film, Star Trek Into Darkness, there was a number of sequences that were filmed using IMAX cameras, and to know that only one sequence in Star Wars Episode 7 is going to be shot using IMAX cameras, that's a little bit disappointing, but it's still exciting. You know, it's a good thing, but in a way it's a little bit of a letdown because, you know, he's not outdoing himself with the IMAX. I mean, you have directors like Christopher Nolan who really truly embrace the IMAX format, especially with films like Interstellar and the Dark Knight sequels, as well as Michael Bay, who recently gave us Transformers Age of Extinction, and he shot it using a state-of-the-art IMAX 3D camera. And now here's J.J. Abrams shooting only one single sequence for Star Wars Episode 7, and apparently it's going to be a desert sequence, probably on Mos Eisley or Mos Espa or some other desert location on the desert planet of Tatooine, or an entirely different desert planet in the galaxy. Who knows? But anyways, it's just for one sequence, most likely an action sequence, but just keep in mind that once that sequence is done, then the rest of the movie will be in widescreen. Okay, J.J. Abrams went ahead and said that you know, he wanted to shoot a sequence with the IMAX cameras, but unfortunately it was really cumbersome. The cameras are really heavy, really clunky, and they make a lot of noise. Therefore, it's very limiting on how they can use them. All right, use those cameras. So we're just getting one sequence, but I'm at least happy with that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is that upon the wrap-up of Principal Photography, Anthony Daniels, who plays C-3PO, went on Twitter to talk about the film. And that is, well, he decided to comment on how people always think that Empire Strikes Back is the best sequel out there. I mean, when you think of the movie sequels that are better than the original, only a few come to mind. For example, Empire Strikes Back, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Aliens, okay? But he wanted to comment on the Empire Strikes Back reference, and that is, in quotes, "No movie sequel is better than the Empire Strikes Back," end quote. You might eat those words for Christmas dinner in 2015. Joy and indigestion to the world. Okay? He's suggesting that Star Wars Episode 7 will be that sequel that is better than the originals. Okay? And those are some pretty bold words, but they're coming from Anthony Daniels here. I mean, I respect Anthony Daniels and all his work that he's done. C-3PO is Anthony Daniels. Anthony Daniels is C-3PO. I respect him, okay? But this Anthony Daniels we're talking about, when's the last time he made a feature-length film for a theatrical release? Revenge of the Sith? That's like 10 years from the release of Star Wars Episode 7. And the rest of his work is voiceover work for video games and animations, and also I believe he was in a couple of TV movies. But nowhere near in the caliber of an actual feature-length film for a theatrical release. So, I mean, this is coming from Anthony Daniels here, okay? But you know what? I'll be completely honest. This comment can go 50-50, okay? Empire Strikes Back can still be the best sequel out there, but at the same time, I feel that Episode 7 might stand a chance to be a better sequel. Now, the main reason why I say that is because, well, Empire Strikes Back is a great sequel, okay? But it came out in the 80s, and a lot of people definitively believe that movies that came out in the 80s, the time of amazing storytelling, is the only time that a film could be good. You know what I'm saying? A lot of great films came out during the 80s. Empire Strikes Back is one of them. And because of that mentality, a lot of people truly believe that definitively there's nothing that can be better than this. Okay? I don't go by that. I don't believe in that. I still think that movies today can be better than movies, the originals that came out in the 80s. I mean, we're talking about a tall order still, you know, talking about a movie that's going to be better than Empire Strikes Back. But still, I think it could still happen. I personally thought that Star Trek Into Darkness was better than the first Star Trek film, okay? We're talking about J.J. Abrams here. I think he's a great storyteller, both in storytelling and also in the visual sense. I think that he can handle both aspects of filmmaking. I think he's a great director who can give us a great story, great characters, great dialogue, and great direction, okay? Which also suggests that he can also give us great visual sequences, which he's proved in the past, okay? So I'm really 50-50 on that comment, okay? I believe that Empire Strikes Back is a film that is better than the original, but I also believe that Star Wars Episode 7 does have a chance at being better than Star Wars or Star Wars, the Empire Strikes Back, okay? So I'm going to keep an open mind about that, but what do you guys think about Anthony Daniels' comments about Star Wars Episode 7 being better than Empire? Do you think that that can happen? I mean, do you really think that that can happen, or do you definitively believe that, you know, these films are concrete? These films that came out in the 80s are concrete and nothing can beat them. Do you really think that? I mean, it's a tall order. I mean, it's really hard to beat these films that came out in a time where they had nothing but original ideas. All right, everything that's coming out today is rehashes, or at least inspired by something. But I don't know. I'm going to keep an open mind, and I think that J.J. Abrams does stand a chance against the originals. Okay. Anyways, there you have it. And plus, the originals are dated. You know what I'm saying? When you look back at them, some of them just feel old, and some of them can be hard to watch, but Empire Strikes Back, at the end of the day, no matter how it looks, is a great story, okay? So there you have it. That's all I gotta say. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, @RaginNation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. You know what? Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice is not a Batman film. It's also not a Man of Steel focused film, but it's also not a Justice League film either.